Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We're thrilled today to be doing this spotlight on several of our host companies for the LifeSci NYC Internship program. Thank you very much to our panelists for joining us and giving your time so generously. I will introduce you all in a moment. But before that, I do want to take a couple of minutes just to introduce the LifeSci NYC Internship program. I believe some of you who are in attendance today have already applied, so bear with me if you already know some of these things, but maybe for some of you for who the program is a little bit newer, I want to just give you some basic information about the program. We are a program of the New York City Economic Development Corporation, and we're really grateful to them for coming up with this program and for funding it. We are working to help grow the life sciences industry here in New York City, and New York City students are a key part of that vision. It's really important that we have a workforce that can fill all the jobs that are being created as the industry grows. So we launched this program in the very end of 2017 and had our first summer of interns in 2018. I am Sharon Albert Kaplan. I'm the Senior Program Director, and we have several other staff here with us today. Rich Robbins, the CEO of Upper West Strategies, which runs this program. We also have our program coordinators, Sally Feng and Arlie Cornhall, who, if you have applied to the program, you may have heard from one of them. We're also joined today by Barbara Smith, who is our industry and academia analyst. A few more words about our program. We are specializing in summer internships, but we also offer internships during the academic year, as well as some entry-level full and part-time jobs. And our application process enables you to apply in one place and gain access to our job listings from dozens and dozens of different companies, all in one place. We are open to both students who are enrolled at New York City universities at either the undergraduate or graduate level, as well as to New York City residents who are enrolled at universities anywhere. We are also open to recent graduates from spring 2020 or later. I believe that Sally has posted some helpful links in the chat to show you where you can find our application and some other information. So we hope that you guys will all check out our website and that you will all apply and that you will reach out if you have any questions. And with that, I am going to introduce our 5 panelists, and then they're each going to speak to us for about 5 minutes about their companies, the positions they're recruiting for, and maybe provide some advice for those who are seeking internships. And we will wind up the second half of our program today with a Q&A where anybody can ask questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And I believe we also may be able to call on you if you raise your hand. So our 5 guests today include Rob Frawley, community scientist from Biobus, Rob Colony, Senior Manager of Talent Acquisition at Blue Rock Therapeutics, Shazia Khan, Global Chief of Staff and Global Chief Talent Officer at Havas Health and You, and I believe she is also joined by a couple of her colleagues who I think she'll introduce when she speaks. Vaishali Hodol, Director of Laboratory Operations at OpenTron's Pandemic Response Lab, and Dr. Patricia Richer, Director of Neuroscience at Therapeutics. So we are going to start with Rob Frawley from Biobus, and the floor is yours.
Great, thank you so much. I'm going to share screen quickly to just show a couple slides. So thank you for having me today. It's my pleasure to be here to talk quickly about Biobus and our summer 2022 internship opportunity. And so I just want to quickly start by showing you the Biobus. This is on the inside. It's completely outfitted with microscopes where students can use them to look at whatever they want to. And a lot of our projects revolve around using microscopes. This is our Biobus alongside our founder, Ben, who's an immunologist and has been working with Biobus since its founding in 2008. And this is the bus, which is a very exciting, colorful, and attention-grabbing vehicle on the outside, but on the inside is a serious and functioning science lab. And so we love to kind of bring those things together, the excitement and the efficacy of the lab space. So I want to first describe what Biobus does. We visit around 60,000 students a year with our mobile laboratories and in lab spaces around the city. We host hundreds of students in our bio bases. We now have multiple, and I'm sitting in one right now at the Columbia Zuckerman Institute in West Harlem. And we pay about 30 high school and college junior scientists to both teach and to complete research projects over the course of the year. Oh, and finally, we develop new ways to bring science to students. So we are developing curriculum, developing physical models, and interesting projects that students can use to bring to the classrooms. So I want to intersperse talking with pictures of our past LifeSci interns. And so this is Camilla and Sion, who worked with us last summer, doing a jellyfish project in the Hudson River. Last year, all our projects took place outdoors. That won't be the case this year, but it is an option. And they worked with this group of high school students, chosen Alexis and Ed. So the program itself this year for us is a 6-week program, July 5th through August 12th. We work 40 hours a week. And we ask our college students to join us for that from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Occasionally, we have early days, depending on teaching schedules from 8 to 4. And the locations, the physical labs in West Harlem at 609 West 129th Street, where I am. Also on the Lower East Side, we work out of a school based there on 145 Stanton. And I would say that those are our hubs, but we go to community groups and schools and summer programs in a maybe mile or so radius around them. For various teaching events. And part of the program is being mentored by research scientists, educators. So I'm a community scientist with Biobus. My background is in orthopedic cell and tissue engineering. We have a vast array of experiences at Biobus, from environmental engineers, ecological scientists, to neuroscientists, cell biologists, and we bring that expertise to our teaching and our mentoring. Here quickly is another group of our former LifeSci interns. They did a project last summer on eels in the Hudson River with Julianne, Sophia, and Miles, 3 high school students that have been continuing projects with us during the year. And in terms of what this internship, that this position is looking for, is we ask college students to work as near peer mentors. So they will, or you will oversee high school research projects during the summer. In addition, you'll teach science topics to community and summer learning groups. Some of our community-based partners that run summer camps will come in for science enrichment, probably once a week. We're still working on our schedules. And then we'll also have the opportunity to attend virtual and in-person talks to hear from scientists on cutting-edge research and to meet scientist guests from all different fields to get a kind of a survey of the sciences. And so finally, I'll bring up this project from a few years ago, also on the river. Well, pictures are from the river, but they worked on euglena, a microorganism, their perception in brainwaves. And I want to highlight this group because the gentleman here in the middle, Joseph, was hired by Biobus last year, and he's been working with us since last summer. So we had a great experience working with him through LifeSci, and he's continued with us ever since. If you have any questions, Ashley at Biobus is running the program this year. I'm the coordinator for the Harlem group, and Marina on the Lower East Side group. You can check out the application at biobus.org/college internship, and the past projects are at explored.biobus.org/projects. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rob. I'm sure that our attendees will have questions for you when we get to the Q&A afterwards. However, we are now going to turn the floor over to Rob Colony from Blue Rock Therapeutics. Is he still with us? Oh, he's having trouble unmuting.
There we go.
Oh, good. I'm glad it's working.
Yeah, how's everybody doing? Rob Colony with Blue Rock Therapeutics. this is just such a great program. I hope that, all of you find what you're looking for. And certainly, at least I'll speak for myself. If you don't land at Blue Rock and you want a little bit of support or advice, please feel free to reach out. I come from the higher ed background. So I had spent years running career centers. Prior to joining the biotech industry, I led talent at Bluebird Bio prior to joining Blue Rock Therapeutics, where I am now. Interesting, about us, we're a wholly owned but independently functioning and operating subsidiary of Bayer. And we're kind of trying to lead engineered cell therapy using cell and gene therapy, and our platform is supremely interesting. I'm not going to dive too much into the science because I want to talk about the opportunities relevant to you, and then certainly we can have individualized conversations either later or at a future date. But I joined Blue Rock to revamp our college program and our early career program. So what that means is two things. Number one, really, really appreciative to join the LifeSci NYC program this year and have an opportunity to engage with all of you, primarily because this is going to be a proof of concept for our organization. In years past, we had hired interns kind of as a one-off. Our goal now is to make sure that we are bringing in multiple interns per cycle. So, of course, the fall and the spring when you're in school, but also in the summer. And then have those opportunities lead directly to full-time experiences. This year, because I joined a little bit late, I joined in January, we're going to use programs like these to kind of fill that proof of concept for us, get you attached to passionate and involved mentors and hiring teams to make sure that you are getting an experiential, opportunity out of this beyond just something for your resume. We want this to be beneficial for you beyond your day-to-day. And so there's an interesting dynamic between our HR team, myself, and then the actual work you'll be doing on a daily basis. And we've also got an early career platform that's going to allow students who are pre-matriculates about to graduate either from an undergrad or graduate degree to apply to opportunities from a full-time perspective and get engaged right away, and then basically allow you to choose your start date. So we're really hoping to drive our scalability and the way that our company moves forward with bright minds such as yourselves. And that's kind of the impetus for us being involved in this program. We're really passionate about delivering the promise of cell and gene therapy. But as many people here will tell you, that's kind of a new area, an uncharted territory for many organizations that are involved in it, almost like building and flying the plane simultaneously. And so where we feel that's going to provide tremendous value for each of you is we want to bring different thinkers on board, and we want to make sure that your voice is heard and that you're able to contribute to this novel approach that's really going to increase and enhance the quality of life for many of our patients. And so folks who are collaborative, thrive in fun and dynamic environments are really important to us, but specifically for New York City and for the opportunity that will be available this year, here are some of the things from the hiring team that we're kind of looking for. And if this sounds like you, I encourage you to apply and certainly get in touch with me. So mining gene expression data will be one of the first things, both single cell and bulk. And basically our goal then is to analyze that using machine learning tools that we'll kind of walk you through. You'll also be utilizing analysis tools, not only analysis tools that we build, but those that are publicly available to get some meaningful biological interpretations, from our genomic and our lab data. And then the third thing will be, you'll be using image and video processing tools and methods to extract digital information related to those biological states of differentiated stem cells. There's going to be a tremendous amount of guidance and support from our team. That's something that I'm really, really involved with and trying to make sure that there's a meaningful experience and a mentor that can guide you all as you matriculate through the process. So we'd be happy to chat more about that, in the Q&A or privately thereafter. So excited for the opportunity to meet you all, and many thanks for your attention and attendance.
Thank you very much, Rob. Next, we are going to hear from Shazia Khan from Havas Health NU, and I believe that they also will be sharing some slides with you.
Thank you, Sharon. Yes, actually, and I'm going to try to stick to the 4 minutes. So I'm going to speak really quickly so my colleague Armin can tell you a little bit more about the program. But I'll give you very high level before I pass it on to Armin. We are a healthcare communication company, health and marketing. We do anything and everything related in the health and wellness space that you could think of as far as communication goes. We have a fairly robust summer internship program, but an even more thorough and deep fellowship program, which is for recent graduates. Somebody asked the question in the chat if our internships are paid. Havas Health NU, we do pay our interns, and obviously our fellows are paid as well and full-time employees. I'm going to pass it on to Armin, who can quickly take you through our summer internship program. The application is live. We are hiring right now. So I'm going to pass it on to you, Armin.
Thank you, Shazia. Great introduction. So I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about our summer internship program. And go. So our summer internship program, it is an 8-week program starting mid-June, and it will run through August. It is for our sophomores, juniors, and rising seniors are welcome. And essentially, this internship is designed to offer students basically the opportunity to learn about that career in healthcare advertising. So as an intern, you'll have that opportunity to learn the daily tasks that make a healthcare advertising agency run smoothly. And a key part of this role is participating in teams. We value a lot of teamwork, and usually in the end, we have our interns create a full campaign, which is then presented to their supervisor at the end of the program. And then the intern will also have the chance to be exposed to all the various daily client work, our events that we've also had in the past. They've also attended both learning and development opportunities with agency-focused sessions, including guest speakers, which, they teach the ins and outs of the business. We also host resume and cover letter workshops, practice mock interviews as well. So I just think overall, it's a great opportunity to really be exposed in that healthcare environment. Now you're probably wondering what positions we have to offer. So here are a lot of our roles. I'll go ahead and mention them here. So we have an account role, creative, finance, human resources, project management, and below that you will see kind of what each discipline entails. Moving on, we have PR, so public relations, editorial, strategy, resource management. I mean, the list goes on. Growth and submission as well. And you will find all of these on our website when you apply. Each role will have a detailed kind of idea of what each role entails. So that is pretty much an overview of our internship program. You can go to our website at havashealthnu.com, and you will search for summer internship. And over there will be a link where you can directly apply. And if you have any questions, feel free to email us at fellows@havas.com.
And I'll just add one thing if we have like 10 seconds left. If you're a recent graduate and not interested in the summer internship, we also have a fellowship program that's for recent grads. So please contact us about that as well. Thank you. Thank you, Armin.
Thank you very much, Shazia and Armin. And I also just want to add that for any of the host companies that you're hearing from today, you are able to apply to their programs directly through your LifeSci NYC application. So you can find everything there, and you can always reach out to us if you don't see something and are looking for one of the opportunities you've heard about today. We are now going to move on to Opentrons, and we're going to hear from Vaishali Hodel.
Hi, everyone. I'll just give you a little introduction of who I am and just go into my presentation as well. If I could ask Arlie to share her screen, because I'm having a little difficulty in sharing mine because I just had a new computer. My name is Vaishali Hodel. I'm the laboratory operation director here at PRL New York. It's Pandemic Response Lab. We service the entire city. We keep them open. While we were during this pandemic, we've processed over 8.5 million sample, keeping the city open, the school safe, hospitals and everywhere else. And so I'm really honored to be part of this. This is something that I've always wanted to do, as giving opportunities to students on access to, biotech company, and that's who we are. And just having this opportunity with our C-suite to saying go ahead and do this was very amazing, and wanted to share this with you because this is something very amazing that we are doing. We are changing the way that testing happen in New York City as well as the rest of the country. We have 3 labs. We have open one here in New York, one in Maryland, and we have also Orange County, California. And we do COVID testing, but we actually going into the more of a LabCorp Quest diagnostic type of testing, but with more accessible to testing, meaning when you during COVID, no one has access to testing, and we were like, why is that? And so ours is affordability and scaling, high capacity, and that's what we do. That's why we could do 8.5 million. And so with that being said, Arlie is sharing her screen. Thank you very much. Can you go back to the first one, please? Yes, so OpenTrons initially was in the robotics, so engineering, all the engineers out there, that whoever wants to do a internship, this is an opportunity, because as our business model, you could go to the next screen, Arlie. Thank you. So this is who we are as a business. So OpenTron is our owner, and we have 3 divisions. Robotics, they do automations on liquid handling. And then we have us, which is the pandemic response lab, and we do diagnostic lab services. And then we have an awesome company called Neochromosome. They do cell engineering, similar to our prior person that doing therapy. So, potential there, but next screen. So this is Dr. John Laurent. He is the brain behind our operation and the things that we do at high scale. So he has he heads up our R&D department. So he designed like LDTs, or identify our test menu, and then introduce it to our clinical lab. Next slide. All right, and this is our leadership. We have our board chairs, Myrtle Potter, and then Robert S. Langer. And our leadership is that CEO of OpenTron. He is the brilliance behind our operation. His name is Jonathan Brennan Badal. And then we have Greg Greeley. He former head of Amazon Prime and Airbnb. And then, of course, our beloved Jeff Boki. He is the co-founder, and he's also sit at our scientific advisory board, as well as he's with NYU as well. And these are the many investors that we have that are interested in our business model. Just to note that we've been alive for 16 months now. We started testing in September of 2020. And so we're very ambitious on where we are going, and we're moving pretty fast. Next slide. And so, current world innovation in biology is too slow. And so everyone that has experience in laboratory know how manual the work is. So I'm going forward. OpenTron came up. Next slide. Thank you. So we have our OpenTron robots that cost us $5,000. Our competitors are $100,000. So that's a difference of, the footprint that we are making in this industry is just saying that we're very affordable in our robotics. Next slide. And so these are the all of these processes are very fragmented and require scientists or organization to cobble together to get a solution, right? So we are trying to get everything into one big solution and offer it to other labs as well. Next slide. So the pandemic response lab, like I said, majority of our COVID testing we did here. we actually did 80% of the sequencing for New York City, and that should be updated to 8.5 because we just survived a surge in January that added to the additional volume that we did. Next slide. That's just next slide. Thank you. And so these are the different proprietary stuff that, unique workflows that we had created to make it for us to be high capacity, high volume, fast turnaround time. Our promised turnaround time is 24 hours to all of the health and hospitals in a local city area. And we've been delivering on that for 99% of the time. Next slide. And so we are expanding our menu. So we're pursuing infectious disease. We just got approved for 18 virus target with influenza A, B, COVID, of course, respiratory. So it's all the respiratory virus, 18 of them that we just got approved. So we submitted for ELISA, and we are also eventually gonna dive into next gen sequencing, specifically on oncology, which is super important to us on like making sure that we're bringing the cost of oncology testing, because right now it's about $6,000 or $8,000 to do a sequencing, and we're gonna try and bring that down. Next slide. These are all of our people. I know I'm getting to my 5 minutes. Next slide. So just wanted to say that if you do want to come on as an intern, this is a different model, a quite different company. And I want to say that me personally, I'm coming in from Columbia University and New York Presbyterian. I've worked there for 15 years. And coming in an internship are going to be valued. You're going to be educated on either R&D, research and development, engineering for operation, as well as if you're interested in the laboratory itself as diagnostic. So we're starting very small and accepting 2 candidates, but as we get bigger, because obviously we're very new to this business, and as we get a better, robust program, we are definitely gonna be able to extend to a number of interns. And we are a 24/7 operation. So if you're interested in the spring and you propose that, we're interested in talking to you. And so I think one more slide, already I'm done. Yep. And join us in changing the world. And if you go one more slide, there's a list of all the different types of tracks. If you're on it and you're interested in joining us, contact. I would prefer for you guys to go through the portal that part of this internship. And so we will be posting it there. So more to come. I'm looking forward to working with all of you guys. I apologize if I went over.
Thank you, Vaishali. And last but not least, we are going to hear from Dr. Patricia Richard from Stellate.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen also. Do you see my PowerPoint? No?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. No.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. All right, so I will dive into it quickly to tell you what CityTherapeutic does. Okay, so we are a small biotech company developing molecules produced by the human microbiome that we hope will fight neurodegeneration. So bacteria have co-evolved with humans, and actually they are very important for our health. In fact, many recent studies have shown that a disturbance of the microbiome can lead to brain diseases. Our lead molecule is a microbiome-derived molecule that is important for protein production, and we do believe that it can be beneficial in neurodegenerative disorders such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. I'm going to have a quick word about our company. So we're a small team, but very diverse. Our CEO, Sophie, is the founder of the Microbiome Foundation, and she's located in France. So is our program manager, Lucy. David Imke is our Chief Scientific Officer, and he spent the last 15 years as the head of neuroscience at Amgen before joining us, and he's located in LA. Now, the team that is here in New York is here at the bottom. We are actually located in the Johnson & Johnson incubator so J Labs in Tribeca. And this is where the internship will take place. So the team is composed of John, who is our VP of Business Development, myself, YJ, who is our research scientist, and will be joining, Helen will be joining the team very soon. Just want to say a quick word about our main program and our lead molecule, that is curin. So curin is actually a hypermodified nucleobase that resembles guanine that is here, but it is associated with a cyclopentadiol that you can see here. So curin is actually solely made by bacteria, and it is made by the bacteria in our gut, and it is absorbed by the GI tract. And then it can go anywhere in any organs of the body, but it can also cross the blood-brain barrier. And there is an important amount of this molecule in the brain. We actually synthesize this molecule, curin, so chemically, and we call it SCL101, and this is our lead molecule. What we know about this compound curin is that it actually integrates in specific transfer RNA that are important for mRNA translation. And when curin is integrated in those tRNA, then mRNA translation is optimal, and there is a proper folding of the proteins. Now, when in conditions where curin is depleted, you have no longer its integration into transfer RNA, leading to misfolding proteins and aggregates. And aggregates are a hallmark of many neurodegenerative disorders, such as Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease is caused by the death of dopaminergic neurons in the substantia nigra, and it leads to an accumulation of this alpha-synuclein aggregates in Lewy bodies. And so because of this role of curin in mRNA translation regulation, we do really believe that it can have a therapeutic effect in Parkinson's disease and other neurodegenerative disorders. And in fact, we already have shown using in vitro model of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease that SCL101 is neuroprotective and can reduce the alpha-synuclein aggregation. In fact, we published this work last year, and you can have a look if you want more details about it. But the goal of this internship is really to actually understand the mechanism of action of this neuroprotective role of SCL101. So we want to, I don't know why, okay. We want to understand what is the link between curin and SCL101 so the role in its mRNA regulation and the link with potentially preventing Parkinson's disease by have an effect on cell survival and a decrease in alpha-synuclein aggregation, for example. So it is really an internship that will be in the lab, working very closely with our scientists, and it will require some cell culture, RNA purification, RT-qPCR, and some microscopy to look at reactive oxygen species. So DAs in general will be under my supervision, but as I said, we'll work very closely with YJ, our research scientist, and Helen, who is also joining us. If you want to know more about our company, I invite you to visit our website. Thank you very much.
Very much. Thank you to all of our panelists. It was all really interesting, and I think we are going to start with our questions in the Q&A. So let me see if I can find what the first one was. And somebody asked if the jobs are paid, and the jobs are paid across the board at all of the internships at all of our companies. We only allow for paid internships. And I see somebody mentioned that they need a spring internship, and I will say that we have both types of internships on our platform. There are two types of applications. If you do our abbreviated application, you can access only academic year internships and permanent positions. If you are interested in summer internships at all, I strongly recommend that you complete our full application, which will give you access to both part-time and full-time and summer and all times of year. I see there are a number of specific questions about LifeSci NYC. I want to see first if there are any questions for our candidates. And yes, to everybody, we are going to share the recording later on. Somebody asked for Stella, do you offer part-time job positions after the internship?
We actually could. Actually, we kept the intern that we had with us last year. He's actually working part-time for Stella right now. So absolutely, it's a possibility.
That's great. And that is definitely a benefit to doing internships. We find across the board is they often lead to continuing job offers. We have another question where somebody asked if we accept international students, and we do accept international students for our program as a whole, though there are sometimes individual companies that do not. I believe that Havas Health and You is one company that does not accept international students. Is that right? Is there anybody else here just for attendees today where international students are not eligible? Well, I think that's probably pretty representative of our program, that like 80% are probably going to accept international students at least. And somebody has asked what grade levels or levels of experience are being looked for. Are there internship positions available for freshmen and rising sophomores in college? So I don't know if we want to go quickly and just everybody could say what is the ideal academic level of their interns. Do you want to start, Rob, from Biobus?
And sorry, could you repeat the question?
Oh, sure. What is the ideal level in college, like freshmen, sophomores, master students?
Sure. So we, I wouldn't say we have an ideal candidate. We actually try to construct a cohort. So we usually take a group of about 6 interns, and we like to have a variety of backgrounds. So I would say every year should feel comfortable applying, or every age experience, but knowing that we're probably looking for no more than 1 or 2 from any given grade.
Thank you. Rob from Blue Rock, does your internship have a preference?
No, I think one thing that you should all be aware of, like as you go through this, not here, but just job searching in general, don't allow your major or your defined career path to kind of dictate where you feel comfortable going to. Understand what the transfer skills are. Try to be able to effectively communicate them as best you can. I think there's a lot of great people, kind of on our side of the table, so to speak, on this call that are, very willing to understand kind of where you are, where you've been, and where you're trying to get to. Sometimes we might require some type of lab skill depending on the specific role, but my main, mission now being in biotech, coming from higher ed, is to kind of demystify our industry and drive people who have the skills that we're looking for with the elements of learning that we're comfortable teaching. So we don't have anything that's going to really disqualify you from a broad, 30,000 foot level. We would just have to maybe get a little creative if there are some things that maybe you don't have, and we're happy to talk to you specifically about that.
Thank you. Shazia or Armin, whichever one of you would like to answer that question for Havas Health and You.
So we are, and Richard put in the chat, we'll make people happy. We take rising sophomores. So we're fairly flexible. I mean, ideally, it's better if you're junior or senior, only because I think you have a better sense of what you'd like to do, but we're open to rising sophomores as well.
Terrific, thank you. Patricia?
Actually, we are looking for someone who has a little bit of experience in the lab, just because we have a lot to do. And unfortunately, there is for now only, we have 1 research scientist. So we don't have the capacity to teach too much and for too long. So we need someone who has a little bit of a molecular biology background. Doesn't matter for how long really, but and someone who can pick up rapidly on the experiment.
Thank you. And Vaishali?
Yeah, so we definitely interested in the junior, senior, and in the clinical diagnostic side, because we want to make sure that they have a little bit of experience, also with labs. But like, other candidates says that it's who you are, and if your maturity is at that level, and you are a freshman or a junior, or interested in just coming on for a short period of time, we're more than welcome to, I encourage everyone to apply and at least introducing themselves to us, and we could screen appropriately. But we have a lot of opportunities. Like I said, we're starting very small in the diagnostic lab, but growing big into sales, marketing, finance, every possible opportunity that you as a job, right? Like as a pharmaceutical biotech company, you think only lab, but there's so many support systems that support us here. So there are many ways we could go with this. So.
And I see someone asked, so can we apply for all these internships through LifeSci NYC? And that is absolutely right. We are your one-stop application. So you complete an application at lifesci.nyc. And once you complete that application, we give you access to our job listings, which will include these companies and many others as well. And you'll be able to apply for whatever roles are currently being hired. Keep in mind that our deadline to apply for summer internship roles is March 31st. After that time, you will still be able to apply for individual positions because companies will continue to post additional roles, but you must get your program application in by March 31st. And I have, let's see, what would you, I'm sort of trying to summarize some of the things that are coming up in these questions in the chat. And I see that people are asking, is it possible to apply for a position when you don't have every single requirement that is listed in the job requirements? What is your advice for people when they look at a job description and they find that, maybe they have 3/4 of the things that are there, but they don't have 100%?
Still go for it. Like, what's the worst could happen? You got to know and you move on. But it's always, my motto is that if you read something and say you really want to do it, just go for it. It's one life. Just don't over agonizing on like, oh, I'm gonna fail at this. It's like you learn from the experience and then you move on, and you go for the other opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, cast a wide net, right? Like I think you're trying to listen. You have the opportunity to interview us. At the end of the day, that like it needs to be beneficial for you as a student. So figure out what culture you want to assimilate yourself to. Think about the things that are really important to you. And then figure out those things on the job description that you can do or have done or have studied, and speak to those very clearly. And again, I think that's a great point, because even if you don't get it, you're building a relationship with a recruiter, and then you have that ability to start to advocate for yourself and have that recruiter advocate for you, even if a specific role at this point in time is not the one that you want. I think, listen, we can all speak to the fact that this industry is super small. Even though there's a lot of great companies and a lot of companies doing different things, the industry is small. So there's an opportunity for you to engage with people that maybe you've spoken with before a little bit down the road.
That's great advice.
I'll add on that we had an applicant at this program a year or so ago who didn't fit our kind of what we were looking for exactly, but in reading their application, all the skills that she listed, we said, actually, this is someone who could really help in our with one of our office projects. And so we made a separate offer to that person just based on the things that they did that we weren't really looking for initially. So I would definitely list every positive kind of experience you've had, and an employer might see it and realize that they need you.
Right. So I think what we're hearing is, don't be intimidated. You have nothing to lose by applying, and do play up your strengths and the areas where you could contribute to a particular position.
Just one advice though, is if you do sign up, show up, right? Because a no-show goes a long way as well. So be serious about this, because we are very serious about our end. And so if we do see applicants, we're going to make the time to interview every one of you and give you the opportunity, but the recipient needs to be as serious as well.
That's a great point, Vaishali. When you are applying for positions, make sure that you keep an eye on your email and your texts, and don't forget to check your spam folder. You don't want to miss any of that outreach from the hiring managers. And somebody asked if we have a specific information page. I believe that all of our links are posted in the chat. In order to see those specific summer internship opportunities, however, you have to apply to our program first, and then you get access to those listings. And somebody asked if you've already graduated, can you apply? And yes, you can apply as long as you have graduated in spring 2020 or later. Somebody asked about transfer students with lab experience, but I'm not sure what that implies. I mean, I think that if you have the lab experience, you can apply for lab roles, regardless of where you started out in your academic career. We do accept master's students, including those in biomedical engineering, which somebody asked. Our summer application is not closed. It is open until March 31st. Sorry, I'm just looking at the questions here. And I think we've gotten to the end of most of our questions. Does anybody have more questions, or you can either raise your hand or put them in the chat. Somebody asked about letters of recommendation, and we do require those for any summer internship applicants, though I would imagine that even if you are applying for a non-summer position, if you get close to a position, they are ultimately going to ask you for your references.
I think someone has their hand raised, Pedro.
I think I can, okay, I think I allowed him to unmute now.
Yeah.
Are you able to? Can you speak?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about this. So unfortunately, I missed most of this call because I was at work. I work at Salesforce, and my advisor, my lead advisor, had asked me to reach out to you, Sharon. So just wanted to let you know that I did send you a note today. Just kind of wanted to put that on your radar. Thank you.
Thank you, Pedro. Anybody else? I will ask a question that I think you all might be able to answer. What is your advice to students in terms of putting their best foot forward in applying for an internship? How can they best prepare? If there's a specific, there's so many things here, but if you have one or two pieces of advice for our applicants.
I can start very basic, just know what the company does. I mean, there are many times that we interview people and the first question is like, so what exactly do you do? And that's probably not the best way to start an interview. So at least know what you're applying for and what the company does.
Yeah, that's excellent advice, not only at the interview phase, but even when you're writing a cover letter as well.
And also be, fresh and ready for the interview. Bring your best for, because it is, we are looking at just what's listed on a piece of paper and we know nothing else of you. And so you might be like the star in your class or the brightest person, and you just happen to be nervous that day and just bombed on and so just be prepared for coming on board. With me, I tend to be the opposite. I will just just start interview and get a little bit information and just relax, because I could see if you're nervous, but don't be nervous. Just an interview. We're human beings, you're human beings, and we are trying to see where you best fit. But obviously, for us, we support like clinical diagnostics. So we are tied to very high regulations as well. But there are other we all said like just go for it, but obviously I have in my head like how many jobs posting I have and who we are looking for, and I could quickly suggest you for a different department or a different role, so you might land up somewhere else in our company. But just be yourself and be ready for, with questions. And it's also like for you to ask many questions as well that you are interested in what we do, but be ready for the interview.
I would add something to that is that if the interviews are virtual, and for Select, it will be mostly virtual, at least the first one, make sure you're in a room where we can hear you very well. There is no noise, because I've had an interview where it was impossible to understand the person, and it was just awful. So that's not a good start.
Challenges of pandemic life.
I think everybody here should be really comfortable knowing that the first question that's going to be asked of you. It's probably going to be, tell me about yourself. And I don't think that means, my name is Rob, I have 10 toes, my dog's name is Eli. So often we get nervous in interviews and we start running around in that same circle where, we just regurgitate facts about ourselves. And I think about how you want to come across, right? So depending on the job that you applied for, I like to use what's called an XYZ technique. So my name is Rob. I went to school for sports broadcasting. I realized that it wasn't fulfilling enough for me. So I went back to school to learn how to better integrate myself and be an advocate for others. And that's why I work in, biotech. And that's why I work to advocate for people who can't advocate for themselves. And that's a really succinct way to kind of clear up gaps or maybe misconceptions on your resume. And then I think my last word of advice would be, it's okay if you don't have all the experience to some of our earlier points. Don't lie on your resume. You have nothing to be ashamed of at this point. Because in conversation, if you have something written down that you didn't really do or you didn't do to the degree that you're stating, and a hiring manager starts to kind of ask or layer into that, it could become a little uncomfortable for you. So I wouldn't lead with, I'm ashamed, I'm underqualified, I have to put these things. Put what you've accomplished, make it succinct, quantify it when you can, and be super comfortable in talking about who you are, but also who you want to become, maybe who you're not just yet, and that's okay.
Thank you. Did you want to add anything, Rob, from Biobus?
I think we covered it all. Like, honestly, knowing the company, if the company has a mission or something that like, this is the reason that we are a company, that should make it into the cover letter, or that you agree with that. And yeah, I agree with what everyone else has said to differentiate yourself and kind of identify with the company.
Thank you. And another question, and I think some of you touched on this in your introductions, but can you talk a little bit about what past interns have gone on to do after they completed their internship at your company?
Well, my hope, since this is our first go around on it, my hope is to, whoever the candidate might be, right, is to give them an opportunity to see how a full-blown diagnostic lab works and see if they like it or not. And then be able to introduce them to all of the other support. Like, you could have a master's degree in molecular biology, but end up heading our sales and marketing, or, there are so many potential as training in the lab. I always say there's a bridging from being in the lab and your career becoming, like myself, becoming a director of an operation that is, that's pretty big deal in my opinion. Like, I've come from a very humble background of just graduating with a bachelor's degree at St. John's University. I'm an immigrant, 16-year-old come over, started from scratch, right? And so, finding a path, and the path is, there is a laboratory science path that you could go into and become a manager, a director, and go into finance or whatever you want to be. But biotech has been very well hidden for a very, very long time on careers. And so now is to give you guys the opportunity to see where you want your career to go, because it's really going to be up to you, your ambition and where you want to go with your career. And we're here to just guide you and giving you more opportunities of, like, hey, you could be the head of facilities. Nobody would think of that, right? You're supporting us, and that's a pretty big deal. Or the head of sales and marketing, or the head of our automation, like there's R&D, and anybody with a postdoc or a PhD in science that wants to come and help us build out this lab, you're more than welcome to do it. But it's a career path of where you want to go, rather than just going into a standard healthcare like a hospital and just work as an aide or as a front desk, and just very limited on where your career could take you.
And I think that that's a great point. Among all the positions that we list, it's a great opportunity for students to see the different kinds of opportunities that are out there that might not have been in your plans for a career because you didn't even know they existed.
Sharon, I'll just add, like, for us, speaking of careers you didn't know existed, I mean, we're in the creative space, so people sometimes don't even realize that this is a career opportunity, that you can actually take your love of science and marry it with creativity. So we have people that come in that go on to be copywriters, art directors, as well as the more traditional, like, strategists, medical directors, account executives, managing the client relationships, and even actually one of our former interns is now our chief technology officer. So, it's any career path you can really think of, because we have so many different aspects of healthcare communication. It's more what interests you, and we can kind of make that career happen.
Yes, that's a great point. You can discover things through internships that it might not have been your planned path, but maybe that's what's meant to be as your path.
Yeah.
I'll say for Biobus, we have had folks go in a lot of directions, but from teaching to med school to graduate research programs to Biobus. But one of the things I think that's helpful, we focus a lot on science communication. And so like a skill that I think you'll walk away with is being able to talk about something that's technically specific in an open way. So that also opens a lot of doors, just being a good communicator. It'll help in the interview stage, but it'll also help in a lot of careers where you have to work between different groups, between engineering and finance or things like that.
That's a great point. I think communication cannot be underestimated as a skill that you would need in any job that you ultimately go into. Well, I want to thank you all so much for giving us your time today and sharing your expertise and encouraging all of our eager applicants. I also want to thank all of our applicants, our potential applicants who joined us today. I want to encourage you to apply to our program. Once again, if you apply to our program, you then get access to our list of jobs and internships, and have one place where you can apply to dozens and dozens of different positions. Be sure to check out our links that have been shared in the chat, where you can access our website. You can apply again for all the companies that are represented here today, as well as many others as well. I definitely recognized some of your names who are here today as having applied already. For the rest of you, we look forward to reading your applications. Thank you again to everybody.
Thank you.